Greetings, Vernon Township. My name is Karen Davino. I am the Superintendent of Schools. I have with me Dr. McKay, the Assistant Superintendent of Schools. We are really excited to be here. This is the first time that you're seeing us on a podcast masked.
Finally.
You're going to see that probably from this day forward until we don't know when. But we're really, really excited to talk to you about some of the phases of district reopening. So Chuck, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Last night, it's Friday afternoon, and we're here with Matt Shea, and we are delighted to be live again.
Yep.
We've been broadcasting from our attics and from our basements and everywhere in between, and literally it's nice to be back. So last night we had a live board meeting. It was quite successful. I want to thank all the board members for all of their hard work, and Matt for doing all that he did. But what we did is we talked about the plan for the first time, and we called it a framework, and it's important that people understand that we're just trying to frame the obvious hard questions that we're dealing with and come up with solutions. So Karen has worked with very hard questions and very difficult pieces, and together we're trying to get this plan so that parents feel comfortable with what we're trying to do. So, there's a lot of things discussed last night, and if you get a chance to take a look at it, the presentation will be attached to this podcast.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and that's really important. So we're going to try to highlight a few things that we talked about last night. Out of the interest for your time, this should be probably about a 15-minute podcast. But we want to try to push these podcasts out to you often so that you can have information. The first iteration and the most important aspect of the plan is that if you prefer online, virtual, remote learning, that will still be an option for you in September. So we know whether it's medical reasons or discomfort. If you don't want to send your children back, we understand. And here's what we're going to do. Next Wednesday, July 22nd, starting Wednesday, July 22nd, there will be a form on Genesis in the parent portal for you to log on to, and it will have a toggle so that you can choose online learning or live instruction learning. We're going to leave that open. We're going to leave that open from July 22nd until the beginning of August. As plans change or as you hear about things from the district, if you decide to turn that off, you can turn that off. The reason we're doing that, we have to start to ascertain how many children may be virtually instructed as opposed to how many children are going to be with us live in September.
Exactly. So this summer we've been working on our virtual piece and working with Russ and Vinny and others, our professions, and trying to make sure that we have these pieces in place. So when Ms. Davino says that we're open to this, we're encouraging you. If you feel uncomfortable about coming to school, we have a virtual plan for you, and we want to make sure that we're supporting our students 5 days a week with virtual education.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of the challenge, of course, when you get a chance to take a look at the information from last night, because it really goes into detail, I wanted to speak specifically to working families.
Absolutely.
And part of the reason is that I think I've been pretty public. Most of you in the community, I think by now know who I am. In September, I'll be here 2 years. I'm a working mom. I'm a single mom. I have 2 children that go to Vernon Schools. One will be at the high school next year. One will be at Glen Meadow. And in the spring, to be a virtual superintendent and try to run the district amid COVID-19 with 2 children at home was incredibly difficult. I know that you know what I'm saying. So I hear you. It's a huge concern, a tremendous concern for me. I've said it publicly many times, even in the spring, March, April, May, as we were talking about that. Our plan right now is flexible. We know at the beginning it's going to be a huge challenge for working families because it does have an alternating A-B schedule.
Yes.
We are working toward better options for working families. We don't have that today on July 17th, but we're getting there, and we hear you. We know the challenges that it poses. I said publicly last night, there are 40 million people out of work. I know that those people live in Vernon, so we know we have to do better, but we really have to see how we do in the first couple of phases to make sure that we can handle what we're proposing to our community.
Right, and the phase-in idea is to make sure that we are able to open.
Right.
And make sure that we're able to function. And then to make sure what else we can take on, whether it's removing the virtual day, and you'll see in the program how we talk about that, removing that Wednesday, and then moving to a 3-day instructional week, or then moving on to phase 4, which we're shooting for the end of the first marking period. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But we want our working families to know that you have a superintendent that has been talking about this for 4 months. And the idea simply is that we don't have the perfect solution
Right.
for our working families, but we're doing everything we possibly can to make sure that we can address that as we move forward.
Yeah, and it's really important. And we know that cleaning and hygiene is a huge topic of concern, as well as transportation. So for transportation, look, the masks, we've gotten used to them. You know what? I know that it's a challenge, but on the bus, we are going to ask that masks be worn. Masks will be required when you're on the bus. If you need to not take your child to school, have them take the bus rather, you can opt to drive them in. That form is not up yet, by the way, on any website. That's just a preview of information to come. We want you to know you have the option, right? You can drive your child to school if you're uncomfortable, or if you don't want your child to wear the mask the entire time. We are working on mask protocols during the day. Children will have to wear masks on the bus, in the hallways, in the bathrooms. But during times when there is social distancing, they will be able to take mask breaks. We know that it's hard to breathe after a while, and there are some things that are real challenges and we're going to get more into that. But I wanted to talk about the cleanliness on the buses and some hygiene practices in the district that may make you feel more comfortable about sending your child back in September.
One of the things that we've worked with is with the bus companies, and of course our transportation secretary, Jamie Van Gils, who does a wonderful job. So we worked with the bus companies, we talked to the owners, we had a Zoom cast with them about a month ago, and we talked about cleaning procedures on the bus.
Right.
So not only is there a concern about making sure that the windows stay open on the bus, which seems to be a best practice, and we'll see how the weather is and how that works out. But also there's a cleaning agent that they're going to use. Now, two of our bus companies, and we have basically three, two of our bus companies are going to be using a chemical process with a mister, much like we talked about last night. Not the same company name, but it will be. We'll check it out with the EPA.
Right.
And the idea simply is that once they spray down those areas, they're coronavirus free for a lengthy time. It looks like 6 or 7 days. Now we will find out more about that. We'll probably shoot a video from the bus so that everybody gets a sense of what we're talking about. We are going to distance on the bus, and we do have procedures even as how a child enters the bus, right?
Absolutely.
The idea simply is that when you get on the bus, if you're the first one onto the bus, you would go to the back.
Right.
And then we will stack them moving forward, and then those children go out first, so there's less contact between the students.
Right.
So these are all processes that we're talking about, and we did talk about how we need our parents to take some temperatures in the morning to make sure when they get on the bus that the children are safe. But we will be checking the students' temperatures in the first couple phases as well.
Yeah, and that's really important. I mean, we really do we've relied on our parents as partners from the spring.
From the beginning.
You guys did a tremendous job in navigating through Schoology, trying to find assignments, contacting us, watching your children while trying to be remote, or some of you not working. We thank you for all that. I know it was a tremendous challenge. We know that we can get through this, and we're going to transition through it. In the morning, if your child is not well, and we'll go through protocols, you will have all of this before school starts. I promise, that if your child is exhibiting a fever, for example, of 100.4 or some other symptoms, we would ask you to keep your child home. We don't want there to be any kind of a danger to anybody else, to staff or students. But of course, you'll get all of that beforehand. And like Dr. McKay said, when children disembark off the bus, we are taking their temperature. This is something that was reflected in the parent survey that we received from you, as well as our faculty survey. Large majority of parents said things like hygiene, disinfecting wipes, cleaning surfaces frequently, taking temperatures was something that was of importance to you. So we will be checking temperatures. The thermometer does not touch the child at any time. And we would be able to track that the children are safe to come into school. That's just one of the mechanisms.
Yes, and we're breaking the two cohorts of students, Team A and B, we're calling it blue and gold.
Right.
And we're going to divide our population. So if we have parents who are going to keep their children out, we have the programs for you. And we want to encourage you and know that if you feel you're making the right decision, we're here to support you. And then for our people who are sending their students back, we can't wait to have them back.
Absolutely.
Our teachers are missing them. We want them back. And when they come back, they're going to be in two cohorts. And basically the program is going to be, they'll be going to school 2 days a week, virtual another day a week, and then virtually tapping into the other classrooms so that they see what's going on in the teacher's classroom. We're going to give you more details on all of that as we move forward. And we're going to try to explain it to you in videos of what the classroom will look like. But I just want to make sure that everybody understands that the population is going to be less than half in each of these buildings.
Right.
So if you're sending your child, we are going to socially distance them because we're going to have a lot less students in the
Absolutely.
building. So.
Yeah, the other thing too is that even though the Board of Education meeting was lengthy last night, if you have time, even if you watch it in portions, it's a good idea. We had a lot of people in the public, maybe 30 or so people live with masks on. And then in our, our YouTube chat room, there were many, many, many more questions. So a lot of those questions people asked and we answered in that video. So if you have a chance, really check that out. It will take you some time to go through, but perhaps looking at, a portion at one time and then a portion another, it may answer some of your questions. And we lay out the plan that Dr. McKay is talking about in detail, along with the dates that those things are in effect, and other protocols that might help a little bit. But we wanted today to give you kind of a preview of what you'll see more of in the coming weeks.
Right, and then we're going to push out videos in each one of these aspects so that you get a sense of what we're trying to do. And as things change, because things are changing in the state constantly, as things change, we'll keep you up to date as well. If anybody has any questions, please contact us. We'll be here, or contact us by email, and we'll be glad to answer any questions that we can answer.
And the last reminder, I guess, for me is that next week, July 23rd, which is Thursday, we do have another Board of Education meeting. It will be in the high school cafeteria. And if you want to come, you have to wear a mask. We have our chairs placed 6 feet apart so that we're doing both social distancing and masks. You can always join on Zoom. I'm sorry, not on Zoom, on YouTube. We've been doing Zoom for so long. But you can hop onto our YouTube channel, VTHS Studios, and that you can log on from home. You can watch as you're with your family. You can even type into the chat. Matt moderates that for us, and he reads your questions out loud to the Board of Education and to Chuck and I so that we can respond. But if you tune in next week on July 23rd, that's the plan that we're proposing that the board adopt for when school opens. So it will have more details, talk more about school-specific things. So if you can get in there, I think you should try to watch it. I think the last thing that we want people to know is that when we're looking at every student still getting what they had, right?
Yes.
We had a lot of questions last night about parents saying, is my child still going to get CFM? Is my child still going to get art? Is my child still going to get phys ed? So we really are trying to keep a balanced curriculum as we open up in September. We know that every child comes to school for a different reason, and we want to make sure that we keep them engaged.
Exactly. And again, one last time, if you're looking for remote learning, we have it for you.
Absolutely.
But we do need you to sign up. By Wednesday of next week, you'll be able to get into the parent portal and sign your child up for remote learning. We will then assign a teacher and work through the process of making sure that they get the best possible education. So if that's your choice, we're here for you.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to be with us. We look forward to keeping you informed. We'll do podcasts. I'll be sending out some written communication. We're even going to do a Facebook Live in the next couple of weeks. We're going to continue to keep you informed, but at any time, like Dr. McKay said, if you need to reach out to us, please do. We want to hear from you. When you ask these questions, it helps us refine the plan and make it more appropriate for all of our people.
Okay, we'll be talking to you soon.